Starting the stream. Da, 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 da. Looking good. Now for a check here, go here, go to my editor. Should be able to see it here. And we should be ready to roll. Ready to roll, baby. Let's go. Stream. Okay, so today what's the plan? I'm gonna go, I don't know if I have much time. I have like half an hour, maybe an hour to stream today. So we'll work on this one LLM, and this is a unified interface for all LLM providers. By the way, before I actually do that, let me change the title of the stream. I have this beautiful note for myself. Neovim. Oh, I've already updated it. Okay, that's good. I already updated it. Good. So I have this one LLM plugin gem that I'm creating, which is basically the goal is to have one interface in OpenAI compatible format, and we should be able to call every single LLM provider out there with the same format. So basically, I use this, I change OpenAI to something else, to a different model, but everything else stays the same, and we can swap models in production in no time, right? And that's the goal of this gem. I'm creating it, basically porting. It's a port of this light LLM gem from Python. Same thing. So at this point, actually, I have test screen. So I've wrote some tests, and we've implemented quite a bit. Actually, everything except the structured output and function calling. So now I need to do that. OpenAI reference, chat completions. So I'm going to use this API reference, and then here we have completion API. Let me show you. Oh my God, chat. Okay, chat API. So we have this image input with both image rel and basic C4 images. This also works. Streaming works. Functions, kind of something that I want to implement right now. And for this, actually, I'm just gonna write a test to see maybe it already is supported, because I think it is already supported with the interface that I created. Oh, I don't think it is, because we have tools, right? So now what I'll do is I'll actually go and say, and I'll use DeepSeek today, which is my primary model of choice lately. So what I'll tell it to do is, okay, this is the API doc. So I'll use LLM to just generate the test, and then we will generate the implementation. So here's an example from the OpenAI documentation, how to use structured outputs. Actually, function calling. It's tools and tool choice parameters. Can you write the test for this case? Think carefully. And it'll just generate the test, and I'll apply the change. Again, I'm using my LLM plugin in Neovim that I created myself. So it's gonna add the new test called function calling. Okay. Kind of like that. And let's apply the change. It's looking good. Now, if we look at it, I'll just apply some formatting differences. So it has this like get current weather. So basically their state of the art example, not state of the art, just whatever. Man, I like this plugin in Neovim that does this thing. It's like basically I have a context of everything that where am I at currently. Like, this is amazing. I know this is like a basic feature, maybe everyone has it, but I love this. Okay, so handle function calling was auto tool choice. And what's the weather like in Boston? And we expect that it should select this tool choice. I mean, it depends on the quality of the model, I guess, when the tool choice is auto, that it works or not. And the same thing goes for, no, not the same thing goes for, this is where we're telling it to use the function tool, right? And then validation errors. So we then erase, oh, that's actually good. And it added it because I already have a bunch of examples here where I validate the input, right? So if you provide me some garbage, I'll tell you, man, this is garbage. And then if you give me can specify tool choice without tools, yeah, there's tool choice, but there's no tools. And then there's non-existent function. This should also throw an error. I like that. And then message. Okay, this is existing one. I mean, this is not a very elaborate validation of the tools, but we can add additional validation later. Now, since we have this test, obviously it will fail because I don't have this interface. And to fix this, I'll now ask LLM to just add it everywhere. And so first of all, I'll add this test, right? So I added the full code of this text to the context of the model. Now I'll go to the client. This is like our abstraction around it. So I just added it here, and I'll add OpenAI provider here as well. And then I'll go back to the spec, right? So, and I'll tell it that I just added a function calling. No, I just added. Can you add function calling to the OpenAI provider in the file? To the OpenAI provider. I don't think I'm going to specify the file, and to the let's say client, right? To the one LLM, and we'll call it client, and OpenAI provider. I've attached. I already implemented tests, so we're going to test first obviously the tests in the function calling describe. So I want you to use them when creating the implementation. I want you to think very carefully before you start implementation, and then go update all the files. Don't touch tests. So I just mumble jumbled what I wanted the model to do. And the code should be relatively okay because we already have examples. So the LLMs work really well when you know what you're doing and when you have examples of good code. And because we're using pretty much okay, yeah, the code quality should be okay because we're not starting from scratch. What I found with LLMs is when you start from scratch, usually it doesn't know what style you like, what structure, and how you organize your files and all that. But once you have something in place, it's just much easier. So I just applied all the changes and let's see what it did. So OpenAI provider. So we have this complete thing, right? It's like tools, tool choice. So it added this part, right? Okay, that's good. And then if tools or tool choice, we validate tools, which is very important. Now build payload. And again, before I even run tests, I just look at what it generated to have an understanding, because I'm considering it's like a junior developer that I'm using like as my sidekick basically, but I have to review meticulously every single change that it makes, because otherwise I'm like you're like a monkey trusting in the AI. So you need to know what it's doing, and I trust in this process. So payload, build payload. Wait, what did it change? Oh, tools and tool choice. Okay, good. Now what else? So it added this validate tools, which is probably like a bulk of code. It's probably going to be here. I just formatted some code a little bit because the formatting was a little bit off. So validate tools format. We call tools. We check that this is an array, and then all of them must be a hash type function. Not sure that this is the correct way, but I mean, probably we have tests for that to check that. Validate tool choice. Auto, none. Otherwise, it can be a hash. Okay. So I'm thinking if this is the way to go, or function specification. Okay, interesting. And then it's kind of like a function name, right? So type, not function, or toolchain function is a hash, bam, bam, bam. And then if it's a function, then we check that this function exists, right? So function name must be in the tools, right? Validate tool choice function. And then we have this. So I don't really like this validation code in the provider, to be honest, in the OpenAI provider. But for now, this is a good start, right? We'll have a set of tests and a lot of validation in OpenAI provider. But because this tool that we're creating will speak in OpenAI format with the rest of the LLMs, we will extract this validation and reuse it elsewhere, pretty much in every provider. So it's going to be like a higher level above a little bit than now. But again, extracting code with LLMs or without LLMs is relatively simple. So we can just do it later. For now, I only care about covering all the edge cases with tests and making sure that it works fine and we're at the point where we can start integrating the rest of the models with the tool. So validate tool choice function. This is looking great, right? So we check if any of the function names match our function name. If not, we explode, which is amazing. And then we updated the build payload, right? So what this does, it added tools and tool choice. It's a very simple change. And that's it. We've reviewed all of it. Okay, now if I go to client, I would expect the same thing, right? So I'll probably move validation here to the client, to the generic client that then chooses the provider. But for now, it's fine. So what it did, it added tools, tool choice. Okay, that's amazing. I'm not sure if streaming is available for every tool choice, right? I'm not sure if this is the case because maybe some models, when they support structured output, they might not support streaming as well. So this is something that we'll figure out later, and we'll have something probably like in Light LLM. They have this giant JSON file, model prices and context window, with some information about the models, what models can or cannot do. And I think we're gonna just steal this and apply it to our use case. And it's just kind of like if a list of capabilities that the model can or cannot do will also be here, like support system messages, prompt caching, stuff like that. So probably gonna do something like this. And I'm really glad that we have this library, although I would love it to be in Ruby. Hence, this is what I'm doing here, right? Okay, this is looking great. Now, if we go back to our tests and we run this test, let's hope. Okay, one failed test, which is not that bad, right? It's not that bad. Undefined method function. Okay, so wait. So rare tool choice without tools. Without tools. Okay, so this one failed, right? And what does it do? Okay, so we don't have tools, right? Okay, makes sense. So wait, doesn't make any sense to get current weather. I think this is not the one that failed. Line 130, right? Oh, let me see. Okay, this one failed. Oh, because we didn't update our result. So because I have this object. Oh wait, not this one. I have this response object. And obviously, I need to make sure, because I'm converting hashes and raw output from the API to this beautiful object where we can use, which is like basically plain old Ruby object. It's not nothing fancy, but I need to add it here. I forgot to do it. So for this, I'll give it access to the test. So I'll give it the test, and I'll go back to this file. I'll add this file, and I'll tell it to, hey, can you please, hey, we're adding function calling to the API. Hey, we're adding function calling to our library. Can you please update the response to include all the necessary can you please update the response? Yeah, I think that's fine. One LLM response class to handle function calls. Yeah, I like that I have GitHub Copilot here. This is like a cheat code. And again, I add think carefully because in my system prompt, I have a specific thing that instructs it to think in the syntax, break down the task, and then plan the changes a little bit upfront. And then it'll kind of add function call, tool call. And again, before, this is the case where I'll just apply the changes without even waiting for the model to complete the response because it's fine. And I'll rerun the test to see if it works. It doesn't. Oh, that's a different error, which is fine. Which means that our response works. Let's first tackle the response and see what it generated, right? So represents a function call. I don't think we need this stupid comment. Oh, we do need this stupid comment. Man, I need to generate better documentation here. But anyway, that's fine. So name, arguments, we have name and arguments. Okay, that's not a lot of interesting thing here, to be honest. Do I even use it somewhere? I don't think I do, right? Okay, I only use it in this file. Oh, in tool call. So basically message, and then we have tool call. Okay, makes sense. So now we have tool call, just like a DD type, function call to age. Okay. But wait, where do we use function call again? I'm a little bit lost. In the tool call, and that's it? Oh, in the message as well. So because the model can respond with this thing. Okay, so makes sense. And then the tool call we use again in the message, right? In tool calls and stuff like that. Okay, I mean, I kind of like this. So this looks good, looks clean. It validated all the places, so it should just work. And this is great. Okay. And now if we go to function calling, let's, just rerun 25 up. Let's rerun this test. I want to see what's failing. So failing is line 169. Let's jump here. Reserve for toolchains without tools. And I think this is where expected argument error, but we got one LLM error. Expected error, client error, error, message invalid type, invalid request error, param tool choice. Okay, do we even have an example that is not failing? Like a green example where we just call it? Ah, yeah, we do. Yeah, we have two of them. Good. So 169, let me see. Cannot specify tool choice without tools. And I think this is just the order of validation that's failing. 279. Okay, so if we go to our OpenAI provider, 279 here. Okay, unexpected error. And this happens because we handle errors, right? Wait. So does it pass the validation? How does it go past validation? It shouldn't be. So line 68, where we handle the error, but then line 46, what we call complete, right? So at this point, we should be calling validated tools, if tools or tool choice, right? And this is what our test is about. So if we go to our test, we don't have tools, but we should still go to this validated tools thing. And then if we're here, oh, okay, so tools must be an array, but only if tools, if tool choice. Where do we validate tools? Okay, one sec. So the cannot specify. Do we even have this? Cannot specify. Ah, I think we're missing this validation, right? It just did not implement this. Whoa. Okay, so in this case, what I can do, I can just ask the model to fix this thing. And because I'm using Neovim, right, and I have my test results in the T register, which is I can just paste it here. Already pre-formatted, right? So this is the thing that I did in Neovim. I like Neovim, by the way, right? So you can just do whatever you want. In my case, whenever the test run fails, I just copy the context to the register and I can paste it at any point in time. So I didn't do anything special here. And I'll tell the model, hey, I think we have one failing test and our implementation is missing some specific validation. Can you please go add this validation to the OpenAI provider? Think carefully. Again, I like talking to the model because it's just faster than typing and it kind of allows you to create these very elaborate prompts. And I figure that I'm so lazy. I'm getting so lazy just typing to LLMs because it's a lot of freaking typing. So it added that, amazing. And now if I rerun my tests, it should just work. Amazing, it did. We don't need to do anything else. So at this point, we kind of added tool choice, like a very basic implementation. So I'm going to call it function calling, right? So we just added function calling. We added a bunch of like two test cases. Well, we actually covered a bunch of edge cases. We're not validating this yet, which I would actually want to do, right? So this is an open API schema, and we can kind of add it later. So for this, let me refresh this. For some reason, it didn't refresh. So we do have default image input streaming functions, right? So we have this bit, and we don't have log probs first. And I'm not even sure what that is, because I mean, I understand that this is like, no, I'm not really sure what it is, whether to run probabilities of the output tokens or not, of each output token returned in the content message. Oh, so it's kind of like, I'm not sure who's using this or what, but I guess we can probably add it. Do they even have this? Log props. Yeah, they do have it. Now, the only thing that I haven't tested yet is whether, oh, I need to fix this, right? Okay. Man, fix fix formatting. Okay, just fix formatting. So I don't think that I've added streaming to the structured output, right? So we'll probably need to add this test too. I'm missing it. So in streaming, in function calling, right? So do we have a streaming example? No, we don't. This is no bueno. We need to add it. Can you please add a test case for function calling in streaming mode? Think very carefully. So again, I can type it myself, but hey, why type if you can ask the model to do it, and it'll probably do the same thing, maybe even better. So it will replace this with handle function calling in streaming mode. Complete chunks. Okay, I kind of like that. And then we have chunks, and chunks, and then we expect the same thing. I'm not sure if I like the comments much because it's kind of like, who cares? Oh wait, containing the function call. I don't think that this is how it works. I think it's gonna be scattered across multiple chunks. I don't think I don't think this is the way. We'll see. Yeah, this is not the way undefined tool calls because we don't even have it in Delta, right? So response, and this is where streaming becomes interesting. Check completion chunk, choices Delta, content. Let me see. So does OpenAI have, well, actually I can use Perplexity for this. Does OpenAI function calling support streaming mode? If yes, can you show me what the Delta response looks like? Okay. Now we'll use Perplexity to find this beautiful type of information, Delta response streaming mode, Delta function call name arguments. Yeah, so this is where it becomes tricky. Do they have this in? So it's actually not a big problem. We kind of fix this, but we'll see. So tool choice, available functions. Oh man. Oof, what the hell is this? Tool calls, tools, this. Okay, so first let's see. Let's take a look at the example. So delta example function, the function call name arguments fields considered piece by piece as more chunks are received, so which calls might look like this. Function calls, arguments. Oh my god. And finally, finish reason. Is this true? OMG. Okay, let me first confirm that this is true because this is insane. I mean, we can kind of fix that. That's fine. But before we do it, let's just, do YOLO puts. And we're gonna just do chunk. Here puts chunk. Oh, but in my case, I don't have Delta, right? So because I use provider here, OpenAI client, one LLM client, right? I have streaming data Delta response. So I can just put YOLO and do it here like this because we're just testing. I'm not sure that this is how it works. And we're gonna rerun this test and keep an eye on the output, right? ID puts. ID, yeah, I already see that this is probably the case. Mother flipper. Okay, but again, the problem is that I'm trying to parse it, right? Oof. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I think we'll figure it out. So provider complete, our OpenAI provider, what do we do with streaming mode? Stream through, if stream through. We do this, handle stream response. and then process stream chunk. So we do decoding of chunk, right? But this is where it kind of fails. Yeah. So whatever I added here is not gonna work because we did this decoding of streaming chunk. Interesting. Very interesting. Let me see. Let me just yield raw data here. Yield like not even parsed, just data. Like I don't care. And I'll check this later because right now I just want to see puts a bunch of them. Oh, do I do puts anywhere? Oh no, I don't. Okay, just do this and we'll see. So how then do I do anything else with this chunk? Process chunk, I pass the block. No, I don't do anything else. Okay, so let's rerun the test. Help function call object. Okay, function. So I think this is what it outputted, right? Created FB system FB fails when function. What the hell is function symbol into integer handle error? Why is it the error though? 147. Okay, so let me first check what kind of test am I even running. So parsing this thing will be interesting. 147. Okay, so I'm running this function call in streaming mode. And then I'm just accumulating chunks here. So I'm not doing anything special. Unexpected error, non-implicit. Okay, so OpenAI provider. Let's figure it out. 283, right? 283. So where is this error? Lines 4 to 6 in our complete. And then before that, we have handle error. So the error is that something is unexpected. Let me make it bigger a little bit so that I can see it better. So symbol into integer. What is happening? Oh, data response 9. Delta response. Okay, so this is where our culprit is, right? So delta response line 9. Okay. Delta response line 9. Attributes ID. Ah, yeah, because I need to patch the client, right? Because I'm doing this, and instead I want to just yield raw chunk with nothing else. And then I'll comment this. Now it should work. Yes, finally. Okay, this is what I wanted in the first place. Just to review how the hell does it work. So we'll close the previous result. We're gonna keep the current result, and let's review it. So GPT-4o mini system fingerprint FP, and then that's like a separate chunk. And then, oh my god! So it gives me even the JSON like a split, right? Because this is like a separate call. Feels like to better understand that. Let me just do inspect. I think this one is gonna be crazy. Oof, didn't help. Let's just say data, and then we're gonna do this data, right? Actually, I can just no, that's fine. Okay, data. Okay, now I can do this data. Okay, no, so at least this was valid, and then we have no arguments, and then in the second one we have tool calls delta function arguments. OMG. Yeah, so basically the first call gives me tool calls, this one, and then the name of the function and no arguments, and this is the name. But hey, this is very good because now I can actually just copy this bad boy, right? I can just copy all of this and I can save it to 1MD, like an example of what the tool call actually looks like. And then I can reverse this. I can go to client. I can reverse this, right? I can reverse this. That's fine. So we've added it to Delta. That's good. But now I have this example, and I know that this doesn't work, right? So this definitely doesn't work. But I have a bigger problem here. I have a much bigger problem here. So because chunks here, it's kind of like, what is the chunk? Because if I let me see what they're doing. This thing is insane. Like, what? Let me just up it up a notch, because it means that at any point in time I don't have a valid function call, right? And I only care about the function call when it's ready. Once it's ready. So I want to see what they are doing here in their function calling, and let me probably open up their docs, because this is not nasty. I mean, I know what I'm doing here, because with function calling, like I did, for example, one thing. Let me show you one example of a different application that it was function calling, and that has like an advanced use case. But I don't know if I want to bake that into this application. So I have this application, testing application, where I can type something. This doesn't really matter, and then I'll say, my neighbor has 3 cats. Is it okay? Right? And this will just scan through bylaws and it will find the information. But you see the output here, right? So all of this is just one JSON output from the model. And what I do here is, and it's invalid up until, so the problem with JSON, like it's not invalid in JSON up until the last chunk that you received, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm using like a JavaScript library that basically tries to fix the JSON, right? So it's like it completes the brackets, the squirrely braces, and all that, so that it valid JSON. The problem is that at any point in time before the response is completed, basically anything and everything can be null, undefined, or like empty arrays and stuff like that, and it will change as the streaming is happening. But uh, but and all of this happens on the front end. Now the question is, should the back end like do this, or should the front end do this, right? And in this case, I can bake it into the library, right, where I will give you a valid JSON, but it doesn't mean that it will always be valid. And maybe we'll have a flag that will say, I always want valid JSON in streaming mode when I use structured outputs, and I will handle it. Or I want an object once, but then that would mean like there is no meaning in using structured output, right, in streaming mode. Because if you don't care about the streaming, then you probably don't care about it. So I want to see what they're actually doing, because this is an interesting use case. I don't know how to implement it. It's just how exactly they want to do it. So function calling, they use instructor. Ah, cheeky sneaky. So what instructor GitHub. This one is interesting. So instructor streaming support works with less than partial responses effortlessly. So streaming partial object create partial. In order to handle streams, we still support iterable and partial, but not simplified intertype, even with added create iterable create partial methods. So they do this, right? User is user stream, and then this is basically what I explained, right? So you use structured output, and you want the object to be name an agent, and then you say that my user should be name an agent, and then at any point in time, everything can be undefined, none, whatever, and then once you get the name, okay, now we have name, but we don't have age yet, and this is still invalid JSON. So what they're doing under the hood, they're kind of like, okay, we'll just figure out how to parse your incomplete in-flight JSON, and then at this point, yes, we have age, and then we have another one, right? So we'll parse 2 users here, right? Create partial, user create a user, John Doe, age 30, right? Okay, so this is what we do here. Okay, so and we get this user, and I think this is the way. I think we need to implement this. It's a large feature though. Is it large though? Maybe it's not that large. So for this, it's good that I actually copied it. Let me stop this example. I kind of like what I see. So basically what they're doing here is async calls, instructor approach. Let me review this. So instructor patch. So they use instructor, that's fine. And then async calls. So do they use it in stream mode? A completion true tells the to route the async completion function. So I don't see that. Wait. Function calling. So this is just a regular example of function calling. Stream. Okay, let me open up the instructor. Do they have a stream? Oh yeah, but how do they call it? Oh, it's by default it's streaming or what? Because it's called create partial, streaming partial objects. Ah, create partial. Ah, now I see. So they call it partial objects. Okay, now it all makes sense. And do they use it here? Create partial? I think they do, right? Maybe there's some example. No, they don't have that. So they don't do it, right? They don't care. Like, I'm just gonna do this and you guys, you'll figure it out. Which I think is somewhat fair, although like I would like the library to handle it because it's such a common case where you want this data. Um, so here, yeah, we really have the problem with arguments, and when it's finished, basically our arguments are what? We have to basically manually add them. Let me give the model this because I don't think it parses the arguments correctly. So I need to give it this as example, and then I'll go to my delta response. I think we have just a regular problem with delta response, but if I go to spec, let's say I don't do anything here at all, would it fail? I don't care about this. Let's just comment this out, not be empty. So this is what we're gonna do. The question is, does it even work? Oh yeah, so we do parse the result correctly, right? Which means, but I'll have like a lot of chunks, which is like stupid. Yeah. I mean, we can tell that this library is very raw, so you have to manually then figure out what to do with it, maybe. But this is like such a stupid take. I think we're gonna bake it into the library maybe a little bit later. So here it fails. So it failed to parse streaming chunk, yeah, because it tries to parse it. And wait, why did it fail though? One sec. I think this should just work now. Just fails the delta tool calls and find the tool calls for delta. Ah, okay. So this is where we'll probably tool. Do I have it here? No, I don't. Uh, okay, so here's a. I'll give it this. I need to add it to delta. Add tool calls and add. What do we have? Tool calls, right? Tool calls to delta response. Here's an example from the OpenAI documentation. Right, let me see, tool calls. I think only tool calls is anything here. Yeah. Think carefully. And that's it, and the model will go and just add it here. Yeah, so here I'm just fixing the fact that we're missing some structure in our object. But later I will add this streaming mode here because having it in the library would be just awesome. Awesome. Really awesome. Okay, function, tool call. Tool call. I mean, I'm repeating myself twice basically. I don't like this. Let me just add start the chat with this model, and I have the same code basically in the response here. And I think we have message defined twice, right? So do I have message twice? I have message here in the response. Do I have message here? No, I don't. Oh, because it's a delta. Okay. Can we reuse some of the Can we use code for function calling in delta response from response? Think carefully. We might be not, but please think carefully. Don't implement any code yet. Just give me your observations. Right, this is the way how I can tell the model, just don't implement anything. Just let's chat. I mean, I have a different endpoint for this, like command for my plugin, but hey, it is what it is. So let me see what it actually came up with, and let me just make it slightly bigger so that I can review it better. So class structure response has function called similar tool calls that uses function. The other is function key and name and response is function call. The response is function. Both have name and arguments. Okay, there is a difference though in the way how function call is called, right? So we have wait. So what are we seeing here? Yeah, I think I can close this. That's fine. Wait, did I do it in the bottom one? Oh man, I had to open. Now I'm a little bit lost. Oh my god. Yeah, let me just review it manually. I think it's just gonna be faster if I just review it. So we have function, class here, this one, and then here. This is the same. This is delta response. This is delta response. So let me open the response. Right. Sometimes I can brush up on my software engineering skills and just do the same thing again manually. Don't trust LLMs with everything. Yeah, this looks pretty identical to me. Like function, we do have one difference here, like index. I don't see index here. So that's okay. I'm a little bit on the fence with this already. But that's pretty much it, right? So tool call, the only difference is being index, basically. And I honestly think we can add it. So we can use tool call from response delta. So is this? Oh, I think this is even worse because it's basically the same class defined twice. I don't think this will work. Yeah. This will not work for sure. Okay, so we need to call it delta tool call. We'll tool call, and then we're gonna use this. So we're gonna add extra index basically here. And we're gonna keep this, we're gonna remove this, we're gonna call super attributes. Yeah, and to be honest, I think we just need to do this. Except, oh, I don't think we have this here, right? Anyway, we can do that. It's fine. You'll figure it out. But yeah, it means that we can just do this. And we'll override this by doing, to be honest, I think we can just call super and then merge index. This would be slightly better. And we can use, I'm not going to be using this here yet. Okay, now we can reuse this function call. So here it's actually identical. I don't see a single difference. So we don't even need this, right? So we only need delta tool call, and this would be our only difference. So the only thing that I need to change here is delta tool call, I think, right? And then function. Do I call it function? Where do I call it? I don't call it, right? Wait, it was function, so where was I using it? Nowhere? This is insane. Okay. I don't even need it probably. Okay, delta. Now, the thing is, so when I'm giving this delta object here, basically, what happens is choices, delta choice, right? And then in delta choice, we have delta. In our delta class, we should parse the tool calls here. Yeah, okay, let me close this. We don't need this anymore. So, and then we initialize this object by basically doing this, and this should now work. This is where, yeah, it's just easier to figure out myself how to do it. So at this point, this should work. And it doesn't. Okay, why? Expected delta response to the. So where did it fail? Oh wait, so okay. Okay, so first response ID, it doesn't respond to present. Why is that? Because it's not Rails. It's not Rails. It's Ruby, and to be present is a Rails thing. To be not to be nil. Yeah, I think this should work. So now it should just work, right? Right. Yay, it works. Okay, we fixed it. So we fixed our base case. Now, this means that delta tools first chunk. Why do we call it twice? Because function chunk choices first delta tools calls. Wait, what? Function chunk, tool call. Choices first. This is insane. It's literally the same thing. Choices first. Because here we found the function chunk. Wait, but this makes no sense. It's just basically just saying like chunks first, isn't it? Well, let me see my 1.md. Chunk created model. System fingerprint choices. Yeah, our first chunk literally has this information like function name and arguments. Maybe it actually makes sense for compatibility reasons, maybe for future models when we reuse this, so it's fine. It makes less sense now, but it's fine. So get weather to be a string. So now I think this test should be green. Yes, 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 yes. And we've added function calling to streaming mode raw level, right? So we're not doing any parsing. Supposedly that it's actually interesting. Should this library actually do some parsing? It's unspecified here, right? And what does this library do? Like if I go to, let's say, function calling, yeah, so they just use instructor and they don't give a shit, right? So I bet they're not parsing anything because you can use instructor for this. Like, why should you not use instructor when you have this amazing library in Python and not in Ruby, which is a little bit of a bummer. But let's say, let me review actually what I did here because I did a lot of things here. So let me actually do dc-w like this. So we added delta tool call, which is basically the same as tool call with just additional index. That's it. Good. Like it. And then to our delta, we added tool calls, which is amazing. That's all we wanted. For all content, and we have tool calls. Good. Which could be empty by default, right? Right. Now, handles function calling in streaming mode. This is interesting. So we've added this test case where we're now giving it the function and we're accumulating chunks, right? So we're basically streaming the function response. And then we're verifying that everything is looking great and awesome. And this is technically a feature. Add function calling to streaming mode. Function with stream through, basically. So this should work. We don't need this anymore. We push. Okay, so the problem is we don't have instructor library in Ruby, or do we? Instructor Ruby GitHub. Maybe we do. Maybe they have like a Ruby version or something. So they have a Go version. Jesus. Oh, instructor RB. Wait a second. Structured outputs for LLMs. Is that what I'm thinking? Instructor from OpenAI client. I'm not a big fan of this like patching the client thing here. So they expect me to probably install the OpenAI library, right? So if I go to dependencies, Ruby OpenAI, so I should install this. Man, the problem that I have with this library is that this is a dependency. Even if I'm not using Anthropic, I have to install it. Even if I'm not using EasyTalk, I have to install it. Even if I'm not using OpenAI, I have to install it. Which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I don't really like this approach where you install a bunch of tools and you don't use most of them. It's kind of ironic when you're developing one LLM that's basically like a one gem to call all the LLMs, but I'll try to make it as minimal as possible, and it will have zero dependencies. Mark my words, it will have zero dependencies. As of now, I don't think I have a single dependency at runtime, right? Yeah, no dependencies in runtime, and I plan it to keep so. And it would be you might say, Anton, this is insane. What the hell are you talking about? So I might have one dependency when I need to use Bedrock, but this is not going to be in this gem. I'll just add instructions. If you want to use Bedrock, install this like Bedrock runtime gem, and it'll be supported. But you don't need to install anything unless you need it, because otherwise you're just creating a bloat. So right now, this is looking great. We've added function calling. So basically, if we go back to our original thing, we have this case, we have image input, we have streaming mode, we have function calling in streaming mode. Now we need to add log props. I don't think we need to do anything with log props. We just need to make sure that they work. I think right now I don't even have them in the arguments, and I'm not even sure what this is doing. So what does, let me just ask Perplexity, what does log props and top log props do in OpenAI API? I am a dummy. Just explain it to me, because I kind of understand that it returns the log props of individual tokens, but then do I even care if I'm creating the API? I can just, maybe skip this part, but I want to understand just a little bit of what log props are and how I can use them, because right now I don't understand what is the purpose of them. Why would you want to use them? Instance of how the model generates the inputs by relevant in the problem as long as each step. Okay, so basically at each step, we're thinking which next token is the most probable, and I guess we return like the probability of those tokens and which one we chose, right? I mean, we technically would know which ones the model chose based on the next token that was returned. The API returns the logarithm probabilities for each token in the model's output. Okay. Oh, okay. How likely the model thinks a token is it to appear in a given context. Higher values closer to indicated greater confidence. Higher values closer to zero. Makes no sense why your higher values are closer to zero, but hey, it's machine learning. Who cares? As long as it's working, indicate greater confidence, while lower values, more negative, suggest less confidence. Okay, that's weird. For example, the model outputs hello. It was selecting each token. I mean, this is bullshit because hello definitely it's not. It's going to be like a single token. But anyway, confidence analysis, you can measure how confident the model is in its Oh, so basically, the higher the value, like the closer to zero, because negative values are kind of like less probable. So basically, the confidence of the model is measured by. So I wonder how temperature influences the log probabilities, because what temperature does, it basically allows you to select like slightly more random, right? You're not selecting the best option you have, like for the next token, but you have like maybe like from 3 or 5 candidates, you select one of them. So it kind of like allows you to do this. So I don't know if this is what we're actually how it actually influences log props, but it makes sense. So you can measure how confident the model is in its predictions. I can see how you can use this as a metric in production to basically figure out, like, as long as you have a task that requires like precision, like text classification, maybe not necessarily summarization, like text classification stuff, for example, right? And then, but if the result makes no sense, like if it classified it incorrectly, but the log probs are high, it means that the model can figure it out, or we need to change the prompt. Maybe interesting. This is an interesting thing. I think only data scientists or people like who analyze this thing very carefully use this log props. I would just write tests and make sure that the test, or like, people call them evaluations, but in a nutshell, it's just tests. You're just testing the behavior of your model with data, and that's it. So evaluation, debugging, when the model might be uncertain or making errors. I think as long as you're not fine tuning and not doing anything crazy with the model, you don't really care about these log props. But maybe if you're fine tuning and then you want to kind of figure out where the model flops, this is why we would need this. So what does this top log props do? Primary specify how many to return to each position. Okay, so you return 3. So just for debugging purposes, right? You see 3 tokens possible for each step. We'll return the top 3 most probable tokens at each step. Okay, so at each step, it will return 3 tokens. Makes sense. I guess it will make sense once you increase the temperature, but let me ask the follow-up question. How does changing the temperature impacts log probs? And I'll just log probs. This is not what I asked, but anyway, good enough. So temperature parameter directly impacts the log props by controller the time of the tokens like which in turn affects the likelihood distribution. Yeah, so basically they go hand in hand, right? If you increase the temperature, your log props is gonna go crazy. Is low, the log props the most likely tokens will be closer to zero, which creates this predictable outcomes, right? And when temperature is high, yeah, this is just something that doesn't really matter for the purposes of this library that I'm creating, but I just wanted to figure out how it works or what you want. Why would you want to use it in the first place? Okay, so now we can kind of use that. Is there like lock props? So okay, so we set it to true, returns the lock properties for each token, but the response is going to be a little bit different, right? I must say. So yeah, so I have this. I don't think I have this in my response now. Log probs. No, I don't have that. So the way to go about it is, let me say, I need to legit bias. Jesus Christ, they have a lot of things like messages, models, store, whether store. I don't think we'll support this reasoning effort. So this is something that we would need to add for O1 models. I kind of like this OpenAI reasoning models O1 and O1 mini. So we have this parameter called reasoning effort. I don't think I have this yet, so we will need to add it for compatibility reasons. Metadata, maybe for metadata too, right? This is interesting. I'm still missing some things that I need to add. For the frequency penalty, yeah, probably need to add that too. I think they also have this, right? If I search for frequency penalty, I think it'll be here. Yeah, vertex, yeah, frequency penalty, logic bias. So they have all of this crap. So I'll need to add it later. Uh, to be honest, I think I can add it now. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Right. So for the client, I'm gonna go to the client. We're gonna start the chat with the client, and then we're gonna go with OpenAI provider. We're gonna add it here, and then we're gonna go to the response, and I'm gonna add it here, and then we're gonna go to Delta, and we're gonna add it here, and now we're gonna say just add this documentation to the context, and what I will do, it's not a lot, by the way. Didn't not add it. Yeah, it didn't add it. Just waiting for platform to respond. It didn't add it. C'est la vie. C'est la vie. Okay, anyway, we can do it like monkeys. So I want you to add what? Reasoning. Metadata, for sure. Metadata. And we're going to call it like reasoning. Reasoning. Metadata. Frequency penalty, for sure, for sure. I'm gonna add this bad boy. Logic but BS or bias, whatever you call it, I don't know. And oh man, yeah, we're gonna add these two bad boys. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. What number? 5, 6, right? 5, 6. Okay, max tokens. Do I have max tokens? I don't think I have max tokens. I think I'm like a complete dummy. Jesus, I don't have even max tokens. Wait, it's not compatible. Wait, max tokens is deprecated? What the hell? Okay, okay. So we're gonna just add it here. 7 max completion tokens, 8. And how many child completion choices to generate? I'm gonna skip that part for now. modalities. I'm gonna skip this for now. Prediction. Skip this for now. Presence penalty. I think this is a common one. This is a very common one, so we're gonna add that too. So we'll ask our AI to add all of this crap. Response format. Wait, I think I do have response format, no? Oh man, I don't have response format. What? This is structured output, right? Basically. Yeah, I need to add that too, but I'll add it later. Later. Seed later. Service tier later. Stop. Stream options. Man, there's a lot of crap that I need to add. Altering this temperature, but not both. Okay. There's a lot of things that I'm missing. I'm surprised. Well, I was thinking that this is over. Do I even have temperature? No. Ah! Okay, man. 11 stream options. Understanding when you set stream 2. Stream options include usage data done. Choices for all of the chunks will also include usage fields, but with no value. Okay, that's interesting. So stop. After forcing a word API will stop generating tokens. Sting array null. Optional defaults to null. I think this model will not gonna go do great with this many things to add. I'll just, save this just in case. Do I have like 1MD or 2MD? No. I'll save it to 1MD because in my plugin I can actually reuse this later. And we'll throw it all of this and we'll see how well it does it. But I don't expect much from this model. So top P, I think I added it, right? Stop, temperature, top P, presence penalty, all of this crap. Okay, tools choice, parallel tool calls. That flipper. During tool use, I forgot about all of this crap. I mean, this is awesome. User, this is optional. Function call deprecated. Okay, so function call response. And I use it. Why do I use it? Tool choice. Because we still call it. Yeah, okay. So function call is function, right? Functions. Wait, so in tool calls and function call. Tool calls, one sec. So we have tool calls. Now I have function calls. The fuck? I think I messed up something. Function call. Or is it the API that is inconsistent in OpenAI? Man, this is difficult. So let's say delta. No, let's say response delta. Okay, function call argument. Yeah, so this is their thing, inconsistent. Oh man, tool call ID, tool outputs, output, tool call step or front step, which can be either message creation or tool calls, step details. Yeah, the run step delta object you want. This is legacy. OpenAI has created a lot of things. Okay, so training format to change models, tool calls, parallel tool calls. Do we use, what do I use in my spec? I think I've created a lot of mess for myself with this AI, and I should have read more. This is just a good example of what not to do. So function call, it's actually called tool calls all the time, right? So function. So we still have function, it's a part of the tool call. Makes sense. Okay, so tool call, yeah. But in the response, we have kind of like tool calls, right? And then we have function call. When do we use function call? OpenAI. Deprecated. deprecated in favor of tool choice. Okay, so we should be using tool choice instead, right? And I think this is fair. Function call. Do I even have that in the message? I don't think I have it in the message. Yeah, so depending on the type of the delta object, I have different things here. Right? I have, yeah, but this is deprecated, right? So I don't know if I want to implement it. Probably I do, but yeah, interesting. So tool calls, right? And we'll see that in the response. So now this is training data, tool call. Where is it? What do they call it? Function tool function. Do they call it function calling still? Makes no sense to me. So tools, and then you have tools, and then you have tool choice, but the response is still function. Okay, man, this makes no sense. Like, you deprecate one thing. I'm not sure I'm liking OpenAI's API. I mean, it's fine, but it's a little bit messy, especially that they deprecated some things but left in others. So here in attributes, it means that we'll see create let choices usage and then look like this, right? So we have choices message, and then so basically we're looking for message that will then have basically tool calls here, right? Tool call, and then the tool call will have a function, yeah, function call, and then we're gonna use it. Okay, this is now is explained here, which is good. But then there's like deprecated thing, which is functional call. So there's like structured outputs that I haven't implemented yet. Yeah, there's a lot of script I need to implement, and I don't think that this is valid, but we can test it later. Yeah, OpenAI created a lot of mess. So I want you to add the following arguments to the OneLLM client and OpenAI provider. Think very carefully. Arguments to the OneLLM client and OpenAI provider. Think very carefully. Yeah, so we're gonna add all of this. Yes. And we'll then check it, how well it did it. Whoa, that's a lot of arguments. Stream, tools, tool choice, reason effort, medium, metadata, frequency penalty, logit bias, log props, max tokens, max completion tokens, presence penalty. Yeah, so basically streams it, and we're gonna apply all of this crap. So I applied all of these changes. Now if I review what it did, and before that, let me actually split the screen so that I'll review what it did here, and we're gonna compare it with our 1MD. So did it add the first one? Reasoning effort. Reasoning effort, it added it. And then metadata. Metadata is here. Frequency penalty here. Logit bias here. Log props. Where's log props? Here. Log props. Okay, this is fine. Boolean null defaults to false. Okay. Max tokens. Max tokens, it should be either or. Yeah, okay, max tokens, max completion tokens, and then presence penalty. Okay, defaults to 0. Okay, topi number or null. Defaults to 1. Okay. Temperature here, stop here. Yeah, optional defaults. Okay. So kind of did that. Didn't miss a thing, which is good. Now, if we move here, looks good. Now, if we look at one LLM OpenAI provider, I don't like that it basically repeated the same thing twice, like the default parameters, but that's probably fine. Temperature is 1. What? Is it the default temperature? I think it is, right? Temperature number... Not translation, just API reference. Temperature. Defaults to 0. Is it assistant? Create inscription. Yeah, it's not what I want. Streaming, chat, and then I need temperature here. Defaults to 1. Okay, makes sense. So we've added a bunch of these validate parameters. Have we added it to the reasoning and effort? What about calling the data? Do we add it to completion? I don't see where we pass this to the body here. What the hell is happening? So if the model starts with 01, then it should be this. Okay, it's good. Validate parameters. Oh man, it even added validation. Nice. Frequency penalty, presence penalty, top P, temperature, right number range, logit bias. Looking at YouTube. Is it a hash logit bias? Subject JSON object that maps tokens specified by their token ID in the token ID return associated bias file from automatic. Okay, nice. Hash, and then I don't think I want to validate this, to be honest. This is like a little bit excessive. Top block probs, good. I remember that. Stop size for sayonara max tokens warn. Okay, the application max tokens is never going in favor of max completion tokens. Validate number range, so must be between. Good, I like that. And now we have build payload, but do we pass it to build payload? Like, I haven't seen this. And man, we already also repeat this crap. Jesus Christ, I don't know if I like this. And then we added a bunch of places for frequency, top P, temperature, props, metadata, logit bias. Okay, so we add all of this for some reason. That's fine. And then all the optional things are kind of here. Max tokens, max completion tokens, stop, model one, reason and effort. Good. This is all very, very good. Now, the last thing that I want to go is when we call build payload, we don't pass the parameters. You forgot to pass all the parameters to the build payload method. Fix it. And yeah, we'll just go and fix it because I am a lazy bum. I don't want to spend so much time fixing this. That's fine. That's good. I know in the latest Ruby you can just do this and it'll work, but kind of don't want to do it this way. Not sure why not all of them are positional arguments now that I'm seeing it. Can you make all arguments of the build payload method positional? Not positional, so that I don't have to... What is it called? Can you make all build payload arguments named? Yeah. Because sure, man, why do you replace the full listing? Makes no sense. And then it's gonna replace this with this, and I'm kind of fine with that. Yeah. Okay, so we just added a bunch of things. I will not commit it because I still need to add tests and make sure that all of these arguments actually work. I'll do it later. For this stream, I think as we're closing to an end because I need to go. It's holiday day and I'm a family man and I have a kid to play with. So if you liked it, obviously subscribe and follow. We'll be creating this amazing library later and adding the rest of the providers. And it's going to be much faster once we have the first example. So once we have OpenAI ready and done, adding a new provider, it's going to be like 10 times easier because we'll already have a good example and good base to then throw at LLM and say, hey, just make sure that this API is converted to this format and this OpenAI format and stuff like that. So it should be fun. and see you later, hopefully. Bye. Bye. Maybe not bye-bye. I don't know.